7 on Sunday. So the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, very much front and center in the news right now as a result of American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. ESPN tremendous writer, reporter Seth Wickersham was going to join us in the 9 a.m. Eastern hour, wrote this book, and some of the information from the book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, my high school career in chapter 7 in that book. Here's what it is. That it's just, I mean, if you go through the kind of highlights of this, it's remarkable. Basically, what you need to know about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, he was considering trying to circumvent the draft last year for the UFL. His dad, Carl, was very involved, as any father would be, in their son or daughter's life in terms of helping them as much as they can help them professionally. He said that Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. Caleb wondered aloud, do I want to go there? I don't think I can do it with Waldron, as in Shane Waldron, their former offensive coordinator. Carl Williams, Caleb's dad, spoke with Archie Manning about trying to dictate the process as to where he goes. Carl Williams said that the way in which the salary cap and the rookie wage scale is unconstitutional. They were wondering about whether or not they could go to the UFL and be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. He then decided before the draft the team he actually wanted to play for were the Minnesota Vikings because of a meeting with Kevin O'Connell. He went in there and he considered going all John Elway and destroying the city in terms of ripping the Chicago fan base and the town, et cetera, and, quote, Caleb didn't want to nuke the city. He didn't understand how to watch film because nobody was teaching him what to look for. It goes on and on and on and on. It was an unbelievable story with unbelievable information. We are going to take this one by one and focus on a bunch of things throughout the show here because it is juicy. Basically, Caleb Williams didn't want to be a Bear at that point. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the first part. His idea with his dad was to circumvent the draft. Is that even something that is possible? Can you do that? Could he have gone right to the UFL for a year, sign a one-year deal, and then become a free agent without re-entering the draft? Can that even happen?
No, you have to re-enter the draft. You have to re-enter the draft.
So you're rolling the dice at a team that you would want to play for.
But it's happened before, though. Mm-hmm. We've seen it happen before. Bo Jackson did it once upon a time. He got drafted. I want to say it was by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. Decided to go play baseball, came back, got drafted by the Raiders, and decided that's when he wanted to start his NFL career. Reggie White started his pro football career in the USFL before he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. So we've seen it before. I think our
buddy Warren Moon did the same thing.
Warren Moon did the same thing. So we've seen it happen before. This is not novel. We just haven't seen it over the last quarter century in the NFL. But what we have seen is players try to dictate the teams that are going to draft them, a la Eli Manning. It happened once upon a time. He didn't want to go to the San Diego Chargers. Chargers drafted him anyway. Draft day trade with the Chargers and the New York Giants. They flip Eli and Phillip Rivers. Eli goes on to win 2 championships. In that instance, Eli Manning wasn't wrong. I don't understand. I understand Caleb Williams not wanting to go to Chicago. He's not wrong for having trepidation because of how the franchise has mismanaged quarterbacks. I just hate that this comes out in the timing of it because you already have an inordinate amount of pressure on him coming into year 2 based on what we've seen from Jayden Daniels, based on some of the noise, some of the articles that have been written this offseason, based on him, advocating for Ben Johnson to be his future head coach and the organization going out and hiring him based on what the team has done this offseason with fortifying the offensive line, signing free agents, and drafting players on the offensive side of the ball. There is a ton of pressure on Caleb Williams coming into this season, and now this just adds another layer.
It definitely does. And there's a lot to litigate about Caleb Williams and his father and how they approached the draft and how they approached going to Chicago and the fact that they would even make themselves available to discuss this process once he's already there. But you know who I think comes out looking the worst in all of this? Is the Chicago Bears. And let me explain. You have this guy who does not want to be there. He is threatening to nuke the city because he does not want to be a part of your organization. And you tell him, we're drafting you no matter what. He's saying, I want to go to one of your division rivals because I think your coach is the best. And the Bears stand firm and say, I'm drafting you no matter what. Meanwhile, guess who's still out there and available for you? Jayden Daniels, who had a better year than Caleb Williams. Guess who else you could have pivoted to? Drake May, who looks like he's going to be every bit the franchise quarterback in New England. Bo Nix was also there. In a quarterback-rich draft with a guy who had an up-and-down season at USC the year prior and who is telling you to your face, I don't believe in you and I don't want to be a part of your organization. You risked a huge PR nightmare by drafting this guy when there was all that talent available. That is an indictment on your organization as far as I'm concerned.
I'm drafting him no matter what if he's my guy. I don't care what he says. Like, you're right. I understand what you're saying. I don't care.
But isn't that a reflection on the organization that Jayden Daniels had a better year and looks like he's going to be the better quarterback and you could have had him without all this headache?
No, because it's 1 year. Jayden Daniels is awesome.
It's a hell of a year, though.
It's the best rookie season ever.
The Washington Commanders, who had won 4 games to the NFC Championship game, from winning 4 games to the Final Four. And by the way, did it with a smile. Completely revitalized that organization and that locker room.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing any part of that. What I'm saying is, if the Bears had conviction that this is the guy, whether he wanted to be there or not, if you believe he is a franchise-changing quarterback, they may be wrong about it, obviously, that if he's a franchise-changing quarterback, I am taking him no matter what. And it is my job, if I'm Ryan Poles running the organization or Kevin Warren running the organization, to convince this young man, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to be wrong. And we're going to all together be so right. And you're going to kick butt as a result and lead us places that we haven't been in years. If I think, now they may be wrong about the assessment, but if I think he's the guy, I don't care if he doesn't want to be there.
I don't think the mistake for the Chicago Bears was drafting Caleb Williams. I think the mistake for the Chicago Bears is their plan on how they were going to properly develop him. If they thought that they could move on from Matt Eberflus the following year, why the hell didn't they fire him after the 2023 season?
Let's go there for 1 second. 1 second. Did Caleb Williams not want to be in Chicago with the Bears, or did he not want to be with the Eberflus regime? In other words, if Ben Johnson was there a year ago, is this a story?
I think the answer is yes to both.
You think it is a story?
No, I think,
you think he doesn't want to be in Chicago?
Yes, because his dad said Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die.
But Ben Johnson is not.
But they were looking at the franchise historically. And then Caleb said,
fair.
I don't think I can do it with Waldron specifically.
He wouldn't have been there in this scenario.
Right. But I think that his dad is looking at quarterback after quarterback that has been drafted to Chicago. And no matter who the coach is or what the personnel is around that guy, it's a failure.
Understood. And you're right about that. I've never seen a less qualified savior in my life than Ben Johnson. It's not his fault. When I say less qualified, he's qualified to be a head coach. He's not qualified to be a savior.
No.
He's never been a head coach. It's completely unfair what's actually happening to him. He has to save 50 years of poor quarterback play. Mm-hmm. That I don't believe Caleb Williams would have even gone to his dad, or his dad gone to the Bears, or gone to Archie Manning if Ben Johnson was there.
I'm just sitting here thinking about the Chicago Bears. You could have, if you knew that you were going to be drafting a quarterback number 1 and moving off of Justin Fields, you should have fired Matt Eberflus. You could have hired any number of coaches. You could have hired Mike Vrabel last offseason. You could have made that your head coach. And you could have went out and hired